Most people moving from California to Idaho either fall in love or completely regret it. And I'm going to share what made the difference for me making the move here so you can decide which side of the aisle you end up if Idaho's for you, if you want to stay in California. And Idaho isn't just a cheaper version of California, it's a completely different way of life, the culture, the politics, the lifestyle, and even the weather. If you're thinking about making the move here, some of what I shared today will make you want to pack your bags immediately or not move here at all. And there's something that I warn every single client about in this video that just could make you never want to move here at all. If you're sitting in California right now and you're scrolling through Zillow at midnight, like I was, wondering if Idaho could really be the answer, I've been exactly where you are. My name's Curtis Chisholm, third generation San Diegan, who pulled my family out of Southern California and moved us here to the Treasure Valley here just outside of Boise, Idaho. People ask me all the time, do you regret making the move here? Do you ever think about moving back? And the honest answer is it's complicated. And in this video, I'll share why we left California, why we've stayed in Idaho, and that one thing you need to know before making the move here. Now, the real turning point for us deciding to make the move really came in 2020. I'll never forget driving through San Diego and seeing businesses boarded up, police overwhelmed, and neighborhoods that once felt safe suddenly on edge with all the riots. And then, of course, COVID was happening at the same time. They closed the schools, closed down parks, canceled sports. And it was that moment when my wife and I looked at each other and said, this is not the life that we want our kids growing up in. Idaho stopped being a far off idea and really became a real option during that time frame. But it wasn't just that moment. It was a buildup of safety concerns, the soaring cost of living, and the culture shifting in ways we just couldn't ignore any longer. And housing prices were insane, property taxes climbing, groceries, car registrations costing more every year. Add in the homeless crisis that politicians just keep throwing money at without actually fixing it. And it became clear we could either stay and complain or make a major life change. Now, leaving family was definitely hard. My roots run deep in San Diego, and I'll never forget telling my dad, this isn't the same place that you grew up in or that I grew up in. Unfortunately, I got to make a move. As I got older and began raising kids of my own, I knew it wasn't the place that I wanted them to grow up in either. Our oldest was 4 at the time, the right window to rip the Band-Aid off before friends and routines make it harder. So like you might be doing now, I started pouring over Zillow late at night, looking for neighborhoods, floor plans, price comparisons, and I'll never forget the shock. A house that would have cost $1.5 million, $2 million in San Diego sits at $500,000 or $600,000, maybe $700,000. And that was the moment I realized not only could we leave California, we could actually upgrade our life by making the move here. A home that would have cost a couple $1 million in San Diego, like I said, was $500,000, just depending where in the area you bought that house. And it comes with things like a 3-car garage, vaulted ceilings, and a decent sized lot. In California, that price barely got you a fixer in a sketchy neighborhood. Now, let's be honest, the hardest thing to leave behind in California is the weather. San Diego, it's 72 and sunny year round, no humidity, no snow, the kind of weather people fly across the world to vacation in. Idaho, a little bit different. Here you get 4 seasons, and sometimes they hit hard. Winters can be long and cold. In 2023, we had one of the snowiest winters in decades. I was shoveling 2 feet of snow off the driveway so we could get out. And don't forget about the inversions here. That gray cloud cover that sits on the valley and traps in the cold, the inversions can be depressing. And if you're coming from Southern California, then it can be quite a shock. But honestly, the snow levels do vary quite a bit. This past year, we only had 2 snows that averaged between 1 to 4 inches. Now, my guess is we'll probably be in for a larger snow year coming up this year, but we will see. Now, here's the flip side. In the summers, yeah, it definitely gets hot. It can definitely be 100 degrees plus. Sometimes there can be a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks in a row of very hot heat, but it's definitely dry heat. There's no humidity, and we quickly learned how to adapt. There are lots of free things to do for the kids, such as splash pads all over the place, or going to the Boise River and finding a safe spot to swim in. Or if you're up for a half-day adventure, floating the Boise River is super fun. And there's whitewater rafting that is super fun to do too. Now, just being by the river will drop the temperature probably about 10 degrees with that cold, snow-fed water, helping to cool the surrounding area. And we like to put our chairs in the water and soak our feet while watching our kids play. We also have super long days here in the summer with the sun not setting until close to 10 p.m. and last light closer to about 11 p.m. I think there's only 2 locations in the US that have sunsets that are later than Boise. Now, this provides lots of time to enjoy time outside with the extra long days and no school. Now, our schedule kind of tends to go out the window in the summer since there's no school and we do stay up later, but then we also get up later too. Then the fall. The fall here is just pure magic here in Idaho. The trees across the Treasure Valley explode with color, turning brilliant shades of yellow, orange, and deep red. And it's that kind of scenery that makes you really want to slow down and actually enjoy the season. We love heading to places like Low Family Farmstead in Kuna for pumpkin patches, hay rides, and corn mazes. Downtown Boise comes alive with fall festivals and farmers markets where you can grab hot cider and fresh baked pies. In Caldwell, Indian Creek Plaza transforms with autumn decorations and live events, while Eagle Island State Park becomes a perfect spot for crisp hikes under the changing leaves. And if you're into outdoors, fall is one of the best times to hike the foothills. Cooler weather, fewer crowds, and breathtaking breathtaking views of the valley just painted in those brilliant fall colors. It's the kind of season that really makes you appreciate living somewhere with 4 distinct changes in the seasons, because every week feels a little bit different and every drive through town kind of makes it look like a postcard. Now I tell people this, don't just visit in the summertime, come in December or January when it's gray and cold and 20 degrees outside and see if you can handle it. That's exactly what I did before making the move here with my family. But you know what? We loved it. And one of the things I do for my clients is help them figure out which areas match their lifestyle. Some neighborhoods back right up to splash pads and schools. Others are closer to the river or foothills. You don't want to end up on a busy road. That's why it's worth reaching out so I can guide you. Otherwise, it's really easy to pick the wrong spot and later regret it and then having to sell your house and make a move again. Next up is the conservative politics here in Idaho. And this part may make you want to stop watching, but politics are a big part of why people make the move here. You'll hear people saying, don't California my Idaho, and it's not just something you'll see on bumper stickers, it's real here. People do say that. People move to Idaho to get away from politics that they saw destroying their quality of life in other states. And while some other states like Texas and Tennessee are starting to trend purple, Idaho has actually moved further to the right, more conservative. In fact, the 2024 election saw Idaho shift about 5 or 6 percentage points more conservative than before. There was data released by the state of Idaho recently that showed 75% of the people moving to Idaho were identified as Republican, 10% Democrat, 15% as independent or unknown. This is a big reason we decided to make the move to Idaho. When people hear that I left San Diego, they're shocked because they think it's conservative, but it's not. It's 8 out of 9 on the city council seats are Democrat, the mayor's Democrat, and the county board of supervisors flipped to Democrat in 2019, just before all the COVID shenanigans went down. We wanted to be in a place where we could be around like-minded people and raise our kids in a conservative environment. Now, speaking of responses to tragic events, when Charlie Kirk was killed, there were vigils held at businesses in this Idaho state capitol, and I was able to attend those. They weren't violent riots, but they were peaceful prayer vigils, remembering and praying for Charlie's families and loved ones. Huge contrast to the BLM riots. Now, for a family, the cultural shift was noticeable and in a really good way. Take the Snake River Stampede Rodeo or the Eagle Rodeo. Before the events start, they pray.
And that's why you sent your Son, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, to come down to earth, and though he sinned not.
Everyone stands. The place is packed with families, and on the 4th of July, fireworks here are just absolutely incredible, with nearly every subdivision lighting off just crazy amounts of fireworks. This last year, we went to the Star Fireworks Show, and it was honestly one of the best fireworks show that I've ever attended outside of like a baseball stadium. This patriotic, community-oriented culture was something that we wanted our kids to grow up in. Now, something else that surprises a lot of people moving here is Idaho's gun culture. Coming from California, where the laws are super strict, firearms are heavily regulated, in Idaho, it feels completely opposite. Here, gun ownership is not only common, it's part of everyday life. From hunting season to recreational shooting, to the belief that protecting your family is your personal responsibility. You'll see gun shops and shooting ranges all over the valley, and you'll meet plenty of families that hunt together every fall. For some Californians, that may feel like a breath of fresh air and a return to personal freedom. For others, it can be a little bit jarring and surprising. Either way, it's something you'll notice quickly. Guns are not hidden here. They're simply a normal part of the community. Now, something else that's really great about Idaho is that there's no waiting period when you purchase a firearm. You do have to fill out a federal form and do an instant background check, and then you can purchase a gun right on the spot and walk out with it. I've done that myself here. It's quite a freeing feeling for sure. Now, if you get a concealed carry permit, then you don't have to do the federal form and background check each time you purchase. You can just go ahead and purchase it and walk out. Now, Idaho also has very relaxed laws around carrying firearms compared, of course, to California. Concealed carry is legal without a permit for both residents and non-residents as long as you're over 18 and you're legally allowed to own a gun. Now, open carry is also allowed, but it's not very common. I've only seen a handful of folks carrying around here, but when I do see it, I don't feel unsafe. In fact, I feel safer. For some folks relocating from California, that level of freedom feels empowering, and it's one of the reasons that they chose Idaho. But for others, it can definitely take some getting used to because it's such a shift from what they're familiar with. Whether you see that as a pro or a con really depends on your perspective. Let me know, what do you think? Does you see this as a pro or a con for you? Now, here's where I see a lot of families get stuck. They know that they want conservative values and community, but they don't know which city fits them best. And that's why we spend time breaking this down together when you reach out to me, so you're not guessing where to move to. And again, you can start your research on my website with my suburb map and videos, and then you can reach out so I can match you with the right neighborhood that's gonna work best for you. One of the biggest surprises was just how clean it was here in Boise. If you go downtown Boise, you're not gonna see tents lined up, needles on the ground, or businesses boarded up. Are there homeless people? Yes, but they're being generally taken care of and they're not running the city. The suburbs, Meridian, Eagle Star, Kuna, Middleton, are full of families, kids on bikes, splash pads in nearly every neighborhood, and safe parks and seasonal events. Caldwell's Indian Creek Plaza hosts 260 events a year, concerts, ice skating, holiday markets, farmers markets, It's small town America. And the people here, I'll be honest, I was worried about how Idahoans would treat Californians. You see plenty of comments online about Californians ruining everything. You go into Facebook groups, you'll see that all over the place. But the reality is I've been treated with nothing but friendliness. My clients say the same. Most of the people moving here are from California. So it's kind of funny because everyone's kind of in the same boat. Now, I remember asking my daughter, Olivia, if she missed California, and she thought for a second and she said, I miss my best friend, but that's about it. I was like, are you happy to be here in Idaho? And she's like, I love it. That was all I needed to hear to know that we made the right move here. Now, one thing I want to be real about is that not everyone falls in love with Idaho. In fact, recently I had some clients of mine, retired couple, tell me they actually kind of regretted their move here because they felt like there weren't enough free things to do. Every time they stepped out of the house, they were spending money. So they just kind of stay in their house a lot. So I totally understand where they're coming from. I mean, in California, you can get out, get on the coast, head to the beach any day of the week if you're near the coast. You got boardwalks, piers, outdoor festivals. There's tons of entertainment that maybe doesn't cost a whole lot, but here in Idaho, it can be different. The entertainment maybe isn't handed to you. It's outside. It's in the lifestyle. There are free things here like hiking in the Boise foothills, floating the river, fishing along the river, biking the Greenbelt, attending free community concerts, like I mentioned at Indian Creek Plaza, watching fireworks, or just grabbing a cup of coffee and heading into the mountains for a scenic drive. So there are free things. You just have to know where to look for them. Now for families, you've got splash pads all over the valley that don't cost anything. So yeah, if you're used to the California coastal lifestyle, you may feel that gap a little bit, but if you're willing to embrace Idaho for what it offers, all the outdoor activities, you'll find plenty of ways to fill your weekends without opening up your wallet. It's just a different rhythm here. This is why you need to reach out when you're getting ready to move here so I can show you which areas have the most community events, free concerts, farmers markets, trails right nearby, so that you don't feel like you moved here and don't know where to plug in and then feel like you moved to the wrong area or you shouldn't move here at all and you regret it. We don't want that to happen. A lot of people don't realize how different each suburb feels until they get here. Housing is where my construction background comes in handy. Idaho is exploding with new development. Farmland is being converted into subdivisions left and right. Now, some people love to see the growth, but it also means more homes, more jobs, more shopping. It's great. Others are really frustrated. They're seeing the farm fields get gobbled up by housing. And so that actually can turn people off and they decide not to move here because they don't want to see the farms turn into houses. So here's my advice. If you're moving here, be intentional about where you buy. Decide if you want some elbow room and explore areas that have larger lots. If you want a more close-knit community, buy in a planned subdivision, maybe a master plan subdivision with a lot of amenities. And then understand that resale homes give you mature landscaping and established neighborhoods, while new construction homes will have smaller trees and a lot of dirt lots until all the houses get built out. Now in 2025, builders aren't throwing around quite as big as incentives as in 2023, but they're still motivated and I'm still negotiating incentives for my clients. Each builder will be different. And this is one of those times where it really pays to have someone like me in your corner, a real estate agent helping you negotiate on behalf, because most buyers don't realize how much builders are willing to give if you know how to ask. I just recently negotiated nearly $80,000 in incentives for a client, and I can help you figure out which builders are doing deals like that right now. Now let's talk numbers. Housing aside, how affordable is it really here in Idaho? Utilities. Our gas and electric bill runs about $100 to $250 per month. On average, I'd say about $175. Now I run a lot of appliances, including a hot tub, 2 deep freezers, a wine fridge, and we run our HVAC 24/7. So my bills might be higher than what you might have. Car registration is about $75 a year versus that $700 bill I'd get in California. Property taxes sit between 0.4 to 1%. So that's definitely lower than California, especially when you factor in some exemptions, and especially compared to like Texas, where it's like 3% or more. Now, groceries aren't dramatically cheaper here. And then there's a 6% sales tax that does add a little bit to the cost, but there is a big push to get rid of that. But there's also a lot of local farms and direct-to-consumer options that can be less expensive than the grocery store. For example, we buy raw milk from a local dairy where you get delivered to our house for $8 a gallon. It's like $20 if you can even get it in California. And then I buy a half cow from a friend that raises cows, and there's seasonal produce right from the farm stand right all over the place here. And that's something that we just never really did in California. Now, home insurance will generally run you between $600 to $2,500 a month, depending on how expensive the home you have. I pay just under $1,000. Car insurance will be way cheaper. I currently pay $200 for full coverage on 2 newer model cars, although I just found a cheaper option for $100 a month total for the same coverage. And if you're curious which areas have the best access to local farms, direct-to-consumer dairies, or affordable utilities, I break all that down on my website. And of course, you can reach out and I'll guide you step by step based on your family's priorities. Now for a few cons. I used to joke that Idaho was the promised land, but let's face it, no place is perfect. Traffic's getting worse. I-84, the main freeway through here, backs up daily, and what used to be 2-lane country roads are now arterials feeding subdivisions. Growth is outpacing the infrastructure. Also, air quality suffers quite a bit when wildfires in the foothills, the mountains, or from Oregon and California blow in here. And then there's the winter inversions, which can be very depressing. If you're a foodie, Boise's restaurant scene is growing, but it's nowhere near California's. You'll find a few good breweries and some solid farm-to-table options, but don't expect outstanding food scene all over the place here. And the weather, as I touched on, as much as we embrace the fourth season, I'd be lying if I said I didn't miss those perfect California days sometimes. But for us, these were the trade-offs worth making. So after all this, why did we decide to stay? Well, because Idaho gave us what California couldn't: a slower pace of life, safer streets and neighborhoods for our kids, a community where neighbors wave, kids play outside, and people still take pride in their country. Would we ever move back to California? I can honestly say I never see myself moving back. This is home for us for now. And now, if you're sitting there wondering whether Idaho is the right move for you, I'd love to help you. This is what I do every single day to help families like you relocate and make the move here to the Boise, Idaho, Treasure Valley area, find the right community, and navigate everything from financing to final walkthroughs. So whether you're moving in 9 days, 90 days, or even 2 years, all you gotta do is reach out. You can call, text, or email me. My contact information is on the screen and in the description down below. And if you wanna dive in deeper about moving here to Idaho, you can watch this video right here, and I'll see you on the next video.